Hi friends, today I am going to review the book, Fear Your Strengths, What You Are Best At Could Be Your Biggest Problem, by Robert E. Kaplan and Robert B. Kaiser. Beware of yourself. Leaders who have mastered their internal opposites, the yin and yang of their own mindset, can be completely and passionately engaged and at the same time utterly calm. Jeffrey Skilling. Beware of yourself is an excellent warning for senior executives who let their strengths run amok and sabotage themselves to the point of destroying their careers and their companies. Despite what you may think, your mental tendencies can be reformed, or at least managed better, to reinforce your actions. Too much strength can be a weakness. Self-undermining. Skilling's story is common. Many executives undermine themselves by overusing their talents and inadvertently letting overuse of their finest skills undercut their effectiveness as leaders. The more capable and heroic the leader, the more lopsidedness presents a serious downside risk. Take the boss who will not shut up. Many top executives excel at communications. They are exceptional public speakers, intelligent, forceful, dynamic, entertaining and articulate. Unfortunately, once some of them begin to speak, they don't know when to stop. They drone on, eventually turning off those people who had looked forward to hearing them and silencing any dissenting or creative voices. Consider the consensus-loving manager who becomes a pushover, or the CEOs who focus so much on shareholder value that they sacrifice everything else to short-term thinking. Their strengths become their main weaknesses. Identify your strengths. Co-worker feedback questionnaires, like 360-degree reviews, offer no provisions for employees to say when an executive has gone overboard exercising an obvious strength, a clear case of when something good, taken to excess, becomes something bad. Ironically, considering how common this problem is, many leadership books advise executives to concentrate on their strengths, and never warn about the danger of going to extremes. In what may be the cruelest of ironies, overplayed strengths are often at the root of career failure. The Leadership Versatility Index is a form of 360-degree review that assesses the strengths executives most often overplay. Research using this instrument found that most bosses couldn't identify their strengths. To learn how to manage your strengths, you must first know what they are. The same research indicates that most leaders find it unsettling to learn they must sometimes tamp down their biggest abilities. After all, their strengths got them where they are. Told to dial back their sharpest assets, many leaders react by saying, "I'm afraid I'll lose my edge." When well-grounded executives learn that they must occasionally turn down their personal flames, they accept that responsibility. As one intense executive explains, "I don't have to give up my fastball. I just don't have to throw it all the time." Leaders often have trouble backing off an overused behavior because they see it as an all-or-nothing choice. Executives should adopt this holistic way of thinking. Sadly, most see themselves fulfilling, of necessity, one side or other, strategic or operational, visionary, or detail-oriented. They cannot conceive of uniting the yin and the yang of management. Most executives concentrate on building only one area of professional capability, while letting its opposite atrophy. Leaders are 5 times more likely to overdo a strength than their other attributes. 2 core dualities apply to leadership: the how and the what of leading. The challenge comes from balancing your style as a forceful leader with enabling your employees to grow, or making sure you use your strength in developing strategy while managing operational concerns. Strong executives are often poor enablers. Weak leaders support their people, but don't lead with sufficient vigor or rigor. Leaders will find the same inverse relationship between strategic leadership and operational leadership. An iterative cycle of reflection and action is required to achieve lasting change. Insight begets action begets insight begets action. Executives must not be lopsided. Try to develop your strengths on both sides of these dualities. One executive explains, "You can't just be one thing. You have to be big picture and little picture. You have to be a big power tool and sometimes a small screwdriver. You have to be able to zoom in and zoom out. And you can't just use one extreme quality to solve the problem." The notion that one can try too hard is counterintuitive for many leaders. This is not a formula for middle-of-the-road leadership. Take charge executives must learn to be judicious. An empathetic leader must learn when to be assertive. The challenge is to eliminate misplaced forcefulness or overdone empathy. Strong leaders must become more versatile and expand their repertoire of complementary skills. Don't infer by this emphasis on versatility that a leader should never lean on his or her ultimate strength. The effective leader does rely on his or her primary strength, but that strength cannot be the default solution in every situation. A matter of mindset. Many leaders are so convinced that their success depends on only one strength that they abhor any opposite strength. One executive who takes pride in being visionary describes the execution side as operational gruel. Such extreme leaders often hurt themselves, their organizations, and even their families. They suffer from limited or distorted thinking. The forceful executive may say, "I've always believed that being effective means getting things done." That declaration fails to acknowledge the need to collaborate with colleagues. Co-worker feedback questionnaires often label such people as poor at relationships. The only way to manage your strengths is to accept them. Many leaders adopt either-or thinking, due to anxiety or other deep-seated psychological issues that trace back to their childhoods. Their mental, inner game, is off. Another destructive mindset is the "more is better" mentality. The executive with this fixed idea arrives at the job before anyone else and stays until everyone leaves, without acknowledging that this behavior leads to burnout. Consider the leader who praises data and analysis, but falls into analysis paralysis. Few leaders are able to combine opposite approaches in a holistic way. Beware of the manager who takes pride in always being completely candid with everyone, while failing to recognize that many regard him or her as overly confrontational, or the executive who claims ethical superiority over everyone in the office, but doesn't recognize that others view this as moralizing. Also beware of the executive who claims to be a superb work coach, although no one wants or needs his or her help. For better or worse, who you are is how you lead. Most leaders are not prepared to work on mindset problems or underlying issues. Instead, they try to alter their behavior, which is never easy. To implement lasting change more smoothly, focus on root causes, the psychology behind lopsided behavior. The best approach is to tend to the outer work, behavior, and the inner work, mindset, at the same time. Dial it back. For the highly intense executive with a Koufax-like, fastball approach, behavior change can mean, stop overwhelming people, and mindset change can mean, don't retire the fastball. Just don't throw it for every pitch. This is dialing it back. Sometimes you must also dial it up. In the beginning, when the world was young, there were truths and they were beautiful, and then people came along. The moment a person took a truth to himself, called it his truth, and tried to live by it, he became grotesque, and the truth became a falsehood. Sherwood Anderson. If your excessive strengths are a problem, use counterweights, in the form of processes or support people, to change your thinking and behavior. One executive with an overbearing personality explains how this works: "I need a couple of temperate souls on the team, and if they find my presence too intense and difficult to approach, they can safely let me know." To become an effective leader, find a way to dial back your primary strengths so they don't overwhelm you, endanger your career, and harm your organization. This involves 3 essential steps. Accept yourself. The leader you are is the person you are. Get in touch with that person. Step outside of yourself to see yourself as others see you. Internalize what others like about you. This requires courage. You can't accept their plaudits until you first accept and come to terms with your fears and flaws. Test yourself. True change takes time and hard work. Facing the challenge of personal transformation means resetting your thinking and behavior. Know that people can grow and change. With 100 billion brain cells apiece, human beings are remarkably plastic. New experiences change people anyway, so you know you can adapt and change. Offset yourself. When you chase perfection, you're chasing something that doesn't exist, says tennis coach Brad Gilbert. Don't expect or demand perfection. No matter how much you dial up or down, you can never become the perfect leader. That person doesn't exist. Every leader needs good people nearby, to offset his or her weaknesses. The difference between a good CEO and a great one is the ability to attract big people. Takeaways. Most leaders overplay their strengths, undermining their effectiveness. Ahab, beware of Ahab, there is something there. Leaders, beware of your actions. Taken to excess, personal strengths can destroy careers and companies. To avoid self-sabotage, identify your personal strengths. Learn to modulate how you use and display these abilities by controlling your mindset and behavior. Most leaders are either forceful, or enabling, or strategy or operations oriented. You can never become the perfect leader. That person doesn't exist. The Chinese yin-yang symbol is a worthy metaphor for balanced, optimal leadership. Executives must not be lopsided. To level out your leadership skills, develop capabilities that are the opposite of your primary strengths. Hall of Fame pitcher Sandy Koufax achieved greatness only when he learned to complement his greatest strength, his fastball, with other pitches. If you enjoy our content and would like to stay updated with our latest videos, please like, share and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much for watching.